Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a really awesome guest on today. He has over 18 years of experience in the design industry and strongly believes that being in the work defines creative leadership. His passion for craft remains as strong as ever, and he's actively contributing to the creative process, infusing projects with hands-on expertise. As a seasoned design leader, he finds joy in both guiding his team and rolling up his sleeves to create. Please join me in welcoming Aaron Poe. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Thomas. Great to be here. Thank you so much.
Ready for 20 questions?
Yeah, I haven't played 20 questions in a while. Let's go for it.
Question one, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm a family man first. So my wife, Sonia, is also a designer and illustrator, and we've been together for about 24 years. We have a daughter, Sophia, who's in junior high, and is probably going to end up in the creative field at some level. We'll have to wait and see. She's, growing up in a creative household. Second, I'm a hands-on, as you mentioned, brand leader with around close to 2 decades of experience. Spent most of my career agency side. Now I've been in-house for the last 5 years or so. Current role, I am vice president of brand design for Hims and Hers, which is a health and wellness brand. They're a design-forward company, really committed to helping connect people to healthcare products, services, and support that they need to feel their best. It's a really great company to be at. It's an incredible mission in the space I'm personally passionate about. So, feels good to wake up Monday through Friday every week knowing that the work me and my team do is ultimately helping people feel better.
Great, I love it. And just a note for our audience, if you guys are looking for other popular episodes, we recently had a great episode with Bill Buxton. That was one of our more popular ones. Question two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Something that makes me different. Well, I'm not so sure this is a key thing that makes me different, but for what it's worth, I studied photography and tried my hand at that in LA before I actually became a designer. I ended up spending a lot of my time in post-production because I would shoot with film and develop my own film in a dark room. And then when digital photography became more mainstream in the late 90s, I guess, I really started to enjoy the post-production side of things on a computer. So, I think everybody has their journey story, but that's how I started. And along the way, I guess another interesting thing about me that makes me different, perhaps, is I can point to two women who really helped shape and influence my design career. That would be my mother and my wife. Both were super critical and helping me find out what I wanted to do, and ultimately, my success. And I wouldn't be where I am without their positive influence.
Great, I love it. So question three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot. So at a very young age, I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old, I had a record player and I was into the band Kiss. They're an awful, band as far as like, the music goes, but I was really into their brand and I was able to subconsciously understand the brand of Kiss. I was obsessed with the power of their image, not so much their music, I guess. But later in my teen years, I would say that awareness of brand kind of translated to other areas. So sports and culture. And I would like proactively do my own rebrand of different team logos. And I guess I kind of knew I'd be good at this thing called branding when I was a junior in high school. So this was 1993. There were like two expansion teams that were joining the league, one from Colorado, one from Florida. And they do these like submissions for people to name the team, and ultimately, they like do the logo or at least submit ideas. And so in my art class, I took that as an actual assignment, and I drew and designed what I imagined could be their logos by hand. I didn't use a computer or anything. Both their logos and overall color scheme. It was nearly identical to what eventually was announced as the official logos and color palette for those teams. So that's kind of when I knew, like, okay, there's something here that I think I can tap into.
Great, I love it. Number four, some people struggle with, and the question is, what does your future look like?
Yeah, I could see that's a tough one. Well, I guess for like my near term immediate future, as I mentioned, I'm family man first, career second. They're not mutually exclusive, but right now I'm all about spending as much time as possible staying involved in my daughter's life as she enters high school. Because before you know it, she'll be in college and then she's off building her own identity and life for herself. So I want her to think of me as, a positive influence in her life. And so, yeah, being actively involved in hers is important to me. Long term, professionally speaking, I guess I would say I'm really committed, honestly, to helping the Hims and Hers brand by creating amazing content through storytelling and finding fun and memorable ways to help make it an iconic brand. I plan on staying here a long time. I'm really excited about the future of this company. It's already a strong brand, and so I'm just stoked to be, playing a part in its future.
Great. Five we say is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Great question. Well, I guess so. So for me, location and time, they're kind of intertwined, right?
Mm,
I lived in LA, Seattle, New York, and the San Francisco Bay Area.
mm,
Being native to LA, I think that shaped my overall like vibe and energy. Living in Seattle really helped shape kind of like how I view the importance of living in a warm climate, I guess.
mm, mm.
Um, but New York is a special place for me. It's kind of where I reinvented myself, I would say, after I studied photography in LA and whatnot. I moved to New York. I graduated from Parsons, the New School for Design, and it's kind of really where I opened my eyes and broadened my creative sort of sensibility. I love my time there, and I would highly recommend everyone trying to live, in New York, at some point in their life, hopefully their 20s, if they ever get the opportunity. But for me, New York is where I kind of learned about the commercial side of being an artist. So it's New York's always been this important character in the film, I guess, of my career. Um, Even now, though, as someone who spent the last, I don't know, 15 or 16 years entrenched in designing for startups from Silicon Valley, I do try to keep that edge, that sort of grit that only New York can teach you, I think. So yeah, I try to bring my New York learnings into my work now, and I think it helps me stay relevant, trying to, always remember to not blend into the sea of sameness that tends to overwhelm this industry, which is, for better or worse, built on trends and shipping very safe work.
Great. Okay. Number six, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
My former younger self. Oof. Um, a lot. I guess the thing that comes to mind first is, I guess, to react more slowly, right? The process of design often creates unnecessary false senses of urgency. Typically, things that may seem really, really urgent to some are, actually not. So I guess I'd tell my younger self to pause more, reflect, think more, and wait before responding to someone's urgent email or pressing concern, because by waiting, by pausing, um, you find that the problem will have probably worked itself out most of the time without your involvement.
Great. And seven, what's a day in your life like?
I'm an early riser, so in the morning I'm up probably about 6 or 6:30. I help my daughter get ready for school, and I'm fortunate to work from home in my own studio space that I've had built in my backyard. So each and every day before work starts, after I drop my kid off, habitually I do a quick 20-30 minute workout, um, with weights. It helps me feel good physically. It also seems to help sharpen my mind as well. Um, Start my workday at 9, which is obviously noon in New York, where most of my colleagues are based. So I try to meet or Slack with them during that first half of the day, um, get caught up on emails. Then after lunch, the remainder of my day really becomes kind of my deep focus time. It's where I'm able to have very few meetings, if any at all, and work on building something. My day ends around 5:30 or 6. So I bookend my day with an intense sort of cardio workout where I can break a sweat on the Peloton in the more cold months of the year. I'll take a run outside in the more warm months of the year, and then after that, I jump in the pool, do about 20 laps or so. And it's my own form of self-care, and it sort of helps to have that routine for me. I find that taking care of my physical and mental health allows me to spend the rest of the evening really focused on not work and not just hanging out with my family.
Great. 8 is around lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
Well, like you kind of mentioned at the top of the introduction, I'm a hands-on creative leader, so I create something daily, whether that's designing a deck, building elements of a brand, or writing a creative brief. I create daily. I'm also actively engaged in the design community, whether that's texting my friends who are designers, or on social, posting something, or chatting with a friend group that I have on a design Slack channel that I created called Creative Directors Club. I found that particularly helpful because it's a space where other leaders can show up and speak openly about their struggles or challenges, and share wins, share recent work that shipped, and just get support overall. It can be kind of lonely as a creative leader, so having that outlet is really helpful, and we kind of inspire each other. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
Great. 9 is around tools. Do you use both digital and analog tools?
I used to, obviously with photography, use analog tools a lot more. Earlier on in my career in New York, I did a lot of print stuff, and particularly with the Beats by Dre brand, I did a lot of packaging that requires you to be hands-on with analog tools. But today, it's mostly digital creative, unless I'm on set doing some sort of campaign or TV shoot. But my tools are typically mostly Figma. I still use Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop quite a bit. I think I wish I would have learned more motion or 3D tools, but I never actually made the time to invest in that. Instead, I'm probably more like musical producer Rick Rubin in that vein, when it comes to motion and 3D. As he says so famously when asked if he can play music, I have no technical ability, but I know how to talk about it, to be strategic about it, how to work with those who are experts in that craft and remain somewhat influential in that space.
Great. And halfway, number 10, how do you deal with work-life or life-work balance?
I prioritize it now. Wasn't always the case, though. I guess I would say in my past, I was probably my own worst enemy, and was a victim of that whole hustle culture, as it's known, particularly when I worked in agency environment. Now, though, I think I've just built up the skills to be able to turn work off more easily, say no more often, and be present in other things going on in my life. We bought a mid-century home back in 2017, and that has been quite the creative endeavor in and of itself. It was in need of a lot of restoration. So, restoring that, molding it into a place where we feel at home has been really rewarding. And that's sort of a form of design. It's a lot of project management as well, but it's a creative outlet. So a lot of focus has been there as well. Work is work. And as an artist, work will always have its challenges, but work feeds me. Not just literally. I mean, I mean to say that it really helps shape other ways to solve challenges in life and everyday situations. How to approach things strategically, how to create a vision for the type of life that you can design for yourself.
Great. And 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
This may surprise you, but this is an easy one for me. It may sound strange, but I would probably be a sports broadcaster, providing play-by-play commentary of the action on the field. I've got this kind of savant, uncanny knack for it. when I watch live sports like NFL or NBA, I'll often add my own verbal commentary as the game's happening. And if my wife or daughter are sitting next to me, or anyone of my friends will tell you, it's often really, really close, or if not the same thing that the actual talking heads will say as well. It's kind of strange, but nothing to do with design.
Love it. Number 12, what would you not like to do with your career?
Work for work for a brand, product, or service, or a person, frankly, that I just don't respect or believe in.
Do you have a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Yeah, it's by this young author named Joseph Nguyen. Um, he said, I'm probably not gonna quote it exactly right, so I apologize in advance, but it's close enough. I think he says, money is not the most valuable resource on earth. Neither is time. The most valuable resource is attention, your attention. If you are not consciously controlling where you place your attention for your benefit, someone else will for their own gain.
Nice. How about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Um, well, I don't want to hate on anybody's quotes, so I'll probably just go for a word. Um, Filibuster. You've heard of this word? It's like a political procedure, I guess, which like members of the government like prolong the debate process on like legislation to kind of delay or prevent a decision from ever being made, which is basically like this form of obstruction. And it's just, I think it's a disservice to our taxpayer dollars.
If you were choosing one word to describe yourself, what word might it be?
Curious, because I'm constantly learning. I don't know what I don't know. I never want to be known as like um, not having that sort of curious mindset. I think staying comfortable in everything that I think is kind of like a form of insanity. I think overall, like, you know, growth comes from understanding that my thoughts are actually not facts. So, yeah, curiosity overall.
Great. And final stretch here. What keeps you up at night?
Oh, nothing really. I'm pretty comfortable to be honest. I'm pretty blessed too blessed to be stressed really to the point that I would lose sleep over anything right now. Hasn't always been the case. I had insomnia about 15 years ago, um, due to some, personal issues with family, things like that. But I guess I feel like maintaining physical and mental health keeps me balanced in that department. So yeah, nothing's really keeping me up at night right now.
And how about a dream you're chasing?
Hmm. Good segue question. A dream I'm chasing. I guess I'd like to own a second home in Spain somewhere maybe in the south, like Malaga, which is a coastal city, kind of similar to I guess Santa Monica in California,
Hmm.
or Sevilla, which is not necessarily a coastal city, but it's amazing. And I've been there and I love it. Eventually, I'd love to retire there and at least have a place to live abroad for a few months out of the year, if not full time. So that's a dream I'm actively chasing and manifesting. It helps to have that my wife is the same has the same dream. So it'll happen one day, hopefully before I'm 60, so we can actually enjoy it.
Great. What inspires you?
Hmm. Oh, well, I think there's just too much design stuff to pinpoint one thing that inspires me. I know this is, a creative podcast, but um, I guess I'd have to say this might sound cheesy, but I guess my daughter inspires me, sort of watching her or witnessing her grow up in some better ways than I did, but also being able to sort of reflect back onto my childhood and upbringing through her major milestones. I guess you'd call that living vicariously through someone, but that actually helps keep me motivated for her future and my own as well.
Great. And last couple here. Any advice you'd like to share?
Yeah. Um, I guess I'll share what I know. Create something daily. Figure out what you're good at, exploit it, work on your craft every single day. Become obsessive about it. I don't really believe you should really follow your passion per se. I know you hear that a lot. We get fed that a lot. Instead, I think what you should be following is, figuring out what you're good at, like really good at, and become great at it. And hopefully that can lead to some success in the future. However, you define what success means to you.
Great. And finally, number 20, how can our listeners keep tabs on you? What's our call to action?
Cool. Yeah, short term. So I post design updates on LinkedIn quite a bit. You can look me up there. I also have an Instagram account focused on my home restoration sort of progress and process. It's at our63 Eichler, which is a pretty fun thing to view if you're interested in that sort of thing. And there's my personal website, aaronpoeandco.com, which I tend to update seasonally as new work makes it out into the wild. And I guess long term, best way is probably just to observe how the Hims and Her brand evolves over the next few years. I really hope to make a massive impact to the brand, which will show up on the web, campaigns, commercials, and many other service areas. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining today. Super struck by your early years being attracted to branding. That was a really great story. Thanks so much for joining today.
Thank you, Thomas. It was great being here, and yeah, thanks a lot.